This is the fourth video in the first apartment series, and it's everything I wish I knew before moving into my first apartment. So basically, if you're new here, every week for the last few weeks, I have been doing like a first apartment series video, and I go over all of the questions and things that I wish I had help with or knew before moving into my first apartment. So we've covered how much my rent is and how much my utilities are, how much I paid for all my first apartment essentials and furniture, just like stuff like that that I had no idea about and there really wasn't a lot of resources with. So I figured that I would do this series and tell you like exact numbers of how I am doing or how much I spent, and then just like answer the questions that I wish I had answered when I was moving into my first apartment. So this video is all about what I wish I would have known before moving into my first apartment. And a lot of these are just like random things, and some of them you might already know. I obviously didn't know them, but I don't know, none of them are like too big because I really did try to plan pretty intensely. So I don't know. They're just like little random things that I wish I would have known when moving into my first apartment. So the first thing that I wish I would have done was I did not know that it was normal to negotiate rent. Like, I had no idea, and I'm actually pretty sure my dad suggested it, and then I was like, ew, Dad, like, no, I'm not doing that. But now that, like, ever since I did that video on how much I spent or how much I paid for my first apartment rent, I am realizing that a lot of people do negotiate their rents, and it's a completely normal thing. And I'm like, even if I would have gotten $50 off my rent, that would have added up a lot over a year, and that could have saved me a lot of money. And it's just something that, like, it's one of those things, like, if you don't ask, you'll never know. And so I just wish I would have asked and like seen what would have happened. So if you're moving into an apartment, try to negotiate your rent, or at least like it's worth asking. Okay, the next thing that I wish I would have known, and I kind of like talk about this in a lot of videos, and I'm becoming a broken record, but I wish I knew how expensive it was to buy everything for an apartment. I had no idea. Like, for some reason in my head when I first started looking at first apartments, I was like, I can buy everything for $1,000. Like, yeah, right. You will not be able to buy everything for $1,000. And it's just like everything is more expensive. My utilities are more expensive. My couch was more expensive. Like, everything just adds up. My grocery bills. So it's just something to be aware of. And from another video, I've also learned that I spent around $5,000. I think it was more like $5,600 on everything for my apartment. And I got a lot of messages on Instagram being like, I spent the same amount or more than that. So I think that's kind of like an average cost. I went in there with like having nothing, so I literally bought everything. So if you do have some stuff already bought, you will save more money, but that's just something that's good to know. And I wish I just was a little more clear on that when I was first moving in. Okay. Next is to take detailed pictures and photos for your like contract thing when you move into your apartment. I forget what it's called. Or for your down payment, you have to like, they'll give you a sheet and then you have to go mark all of the issues that are wrong with your apartment. And I wish I took this a lot more seriously. I did not take it that seriously, and I'm sure that I'm gonna have to pay for it when I move out. So when you move into your first apartment, go through and take a lot of pictures and make sure that you write down every single thing wrong with your apartment. If there's a scuff in the wall, write it down. If there's a mark in your wall, write it down. If there's a scratch in your floor, write it down. Like, the more that you can write down, the more it'll help you when you're moving out, and then you have proof that you weren't the one who did it, so you won't have to pay for it when you move out of your apartment. And like I said, I just didn't take it seriously, and I would have saved more money probably if I would have just taken like 30 minutes to go through and like really make sure that I was writing down everything that was wrong with this apartment. Okay, next is I wish my expectations were lower on how fast it would feel like home and how fast I would have this place decorated. So I bought all of the furniture and like essentials, but I didn't buy any decor. So like I had nothing on the walls, I didn't have any throw pillows, blankets, like etc. I didn't have any of that stuff. And for some reason in my mind, I thought that I would have this place completely decorated in like a month after moving in. And it's bothered me that I haven't had it decorated, which is just stupid. Like, I should have gone in with lower expectations that this type of thing, to get it decorated and to get your first place feeling like home, takes a lot more time. And I just think lower expectations on like everything. Like, I envisioned that my whole life was going to change when I moved into my first apartment, and believe me, it has gotten better. Like, I love living on my own. I could not move back with my parents. Like, I literally would die, I think, if I had to move back in with my parents. But I would be like, I'm gonna eat so healthy when I move into my first apartment and things like that. Like, that's just stupid. Like, your life isn't gonna change that much. So I just wish I would have had lower expectations so that I wouldn't get upset if like something didn't happen. All right, we're nearing the end of the things that I wish I would have known. So this might be dumb and you might be like, oh my gosh, how does she not know this? But you have to call to get your water transferred and your electricity bill on. So like, at least around here, you have to call and be like, I need the water and electricity to start on so-and-so date. That's just something that I didn't think about. For some reason, I thought that the apartment complex would have that taken care of, but they didn't. So you need to call and like ask them, and then also give them your contact info and transfer from the people that lived there before. I hope that's like a normal thing to do. Otherwise, that might just be local here, but I know that around here you do have to do that. And lastly, same with Wi-Fi. Like, you have to call within at least a week in advance to make sure that someone can get out there and get Wi-Fi started for you. I like really pushed this off and just kind of forgot about it, and then I just made it and they were like, you like barely got in, which is not the end of the world, obviously, like first world problem. But I work from home and a lot of people work from home right now, so, and with how, you know, the world is, it's probably going to take even longer. So that's just something to have like on your docket when moving into your first apartment, is that you do have to call, I think, to change your water and light. At least you do around here. And you also need to schedule an appointment for Wi-Fi for them to come in. Like, I would call at least a week and a half before moving in. So I know those are like super random, but those are just like some of the things that I wish I would have known before moving into my first apartment. And I really didn't have like I said, I really prepared and I really researched and watched a ton of videos on it and like kind of became obsessed with the whole process. So I knew a lot, but those are the things that I wish I did know. Oh, also something that I did that like was so helpful was when I first moved in, like the day I moved in, I created like a first day box, and it had scissors, packing tape, paper towels, soap, like paper plates, like random stuff like that, just for the first night, pajamas, because your things are going to be in boxes everywhere. And like, if you're looking for paper towels, which for some reason you will need paper towels, like, or toilet paper, like you're gonna need that, it's nice to have it all in one box so you don't have to go searching for it. So that's just a random thing that was really helpful for me. But those were all the things I wish I would have known moving into my first apartment. So I hope that was helpful for you, and make sure to follow me on Instagram at by Sophia Lee. I post a ton of first apartment stuff there, how I'm decorating my first apartment to make it look expensive while being cheap, organization tips, cleaning hacks, all of that. So follow me there, and then also subscribe to my channel.